Hello, everybody. AOG Gaming here, back with another video on. Well, I didn't want to make a video specifically about this light, but it is. I guess this is the specific video for this light. Um, I know I said I wasn't going to make another one, but this is because the only reason I'm making this is because it's important because this is part of my channel, right? I try to explain games, how they're doing, how the direction is going. For most Gacha games, it's horrible. Yeah, there's just too much that went bad with this game, and that's why it died. And we're seeing that more and more, right? There is Outer Plane, which is pretty much on the same leg as this game. Um, Honestly, it's following faster, in my opinion, because like they said they were gonna listen to us and they didn't, right? Smilegate. So it's basically becoming the same thing as Dislight, and I think a lot of people from Dislight moved to Outer Plane just because Zactuskin was testing it out. Kovian, who also played Dislight, was checking it out. There's like Daddy Free to Play checked it out as well. He said it was super grindy. Yeah, for the first 2 months, I agree. It's super grindy. And it still is. So he wasn't wrong. It's 100% super grindy. And like this is why I'm making the video specifically about Dislight. It's because there are three major things for all gotcha games that kill them. It is one, the gotcha system itself. This is what I say most of the time makes or breaks a gotcha, and it is true. It shows how pay to win the gotcha is, how pay to win the game itself is, because the gotcha in itself is the game, right? Um, and then I guess second would be the developers or whoever's in charge of the direction of games and whether they actually listen to our feedback. The feedback that matters, not the feedback that you think matters, because you obviously don't have the same mentality as players. Um, and then third, I guess, would be progress. Because even if both of those things are great, like with Outer Plane, the gacha system's actually pretty good. Yeah, they have free tickets for no pity, but you get a hero and you can max it out. You don't got to go back to the gacha. Um, but they haven't been listening, and the progression is pretty bad. The progression system is pretty bad, and I think this happens with like 90% of gachas. That's why a lot of Genshin players eventually quit. It's just the progress takes forever. Even if these games are raking in tens of billions of dollars, and people are like, "Oh, they're popular because they're good games." No, they're not good games. They're gacha games. There is not a single gacha game that has been released that is good because all of them are one, predatory scams, unless you have unlimited amount of money, which then you just get everything in the game and then you're chilling. Or if you have enough money to actually like have decent progress in the game, then I guess it's fine. But at that point, you're just paying to have a fun experience multiple times rather than just paying once and having a game and have that game be the fun experience rather than having to spend money to have fun. Um, yeah, and the progression system has been a thing that is just littered all over every single gotcha game, right? Literally does not matter how many gotcha games are released, their progression systems are horrible. You can name any gotcha out there, the progression system is horrible. It takes forever. And it feels like it's become a staple of the gotcha industry that needs to change. Otherwise, all these games are slowly dying. Like, I'm not even playing. You can just look at the amount of active players from the beginning of these games to the now of these games. Like, it doesn't matter who makes them. Hoyoverse, Smilegate, Lilith Games. It doesn't matter which company makes them because all these companies are just trying to make money off of the game rather than actually make a game. Like, that's the thing, right? They're making a game to make money. They're not making a game to make a game, which doesn't fucking make sense to me, right? Like, if you're going to create a game, whether it's a gacha, whether it's a first person shooter, whether it's a tactical game, you still need to fall into what a game is, right? You still need to make it a game, not just here are some skill turn based things, here are some mechanics, or if you have like open world stuff, which is pretty much the same thing. You got skills, you can move around, and the skills got like some types of ranges or whatever, or they got like different AoE types. Like Danmachi Battle is very much like that. Which why that game is dying as well. Like it's just all of these games, and I feel like it's worse with the IP anime IP games because all these people, all the content creators who are hyping up these games, they're lying to you 100%. They're not good games in any way, shape, or form. You could play anything other than a gotcha game, and you could instantly see the difference between how bad a gotcha is and how great a game is when it's built to be an actual game rather than just a money making scheme, which is 99% of all gotchas. I think 100% of all gotchas at this point. Um, so yeah, it's just really sad. For this light itself, they're done. This game is dead. Um, Outer Plane is following pretty much suit. There's a lot of like if you just go to Sensor Tower, which is I guess a company or a forum, whatever. They basically post like the revenue or the income mostly for mobile, I think, for all these games. And Genshin Impact is still doing great, but that's because again they released female character. They released one of the Archons, which is one of their best characters. I'm telling you right now, they're gonna release another character, and it's not gonna. They're not gonna make as much money. They're definitely not gonna make as much money as they did with Farina, just because that was like a big buildup in their like just their lore, the game itself, and everything. And that game itself is not bad, but it's not a good game. I don't care how many people slander me. I don't care how many people are sheep for pretty visuals because that's literally what that game is. It was probably the first game, so I will give credit to Genshin Impact because they are the first game to have a different combat system and a different type of gotcha game. Right? It was the open world gotcha game. I don't know if they were the first, but they were definitely one of the first to make it not just like mechanically appealing, but visually appealing, which are the two main things that you need to make a game, in order to make money off of gotcha games, right? You need mechanics that are good and gameplay that is good. But it seems like every gotcha that is coming out is pretty much just copy and paste of what other gotchas that have come out. And it's just apparent all over the industry, and it's just really sad. So for this slide, I mean, you could just read the comments. Game is dead, and devs don't listen. Do something about your game to revive it. I don't think they're going to. Um, yeah, you've destroyed your own game, blah blah blah. Like you all can read this, but and you guys are starting to make your game like Raid. Yeah, Raid Shadow Legends, Mech Arena. These games people are saying aren't dead because the content creators who are making content on them are whales who don't actually care about whether the game is good or not. They just care that it's pretty visuals, it's got some cool mechanics, and they can play because they got the money. Doesn't help average players whatsoever. Doesn't help anybody whatsoever. But people are still gonna follow their channels because sheep for pretty visuals. It's like the one thing that humans are accustomed to, right? It's kind of sad that it's become a thing, but that's literally why the gotcha industry is so big. Pretty visuals. There's also the pulling, but I feel like all gotcha systems in themselves from the gotcha games have become just worse. Like the pools you get, you basically just have to pay for if you want like 50 or 100. Otherwise, you were saving for pretty much like a couple of months in order to have that much. Which again is sad, right? Like I know you shouldn't just give players every single content of the game unless you're charging money for the game itself. But it should be to the point where progress is viable. And it feels like that's the main problem with all of these games actually. I feel like that's why they end up dying like within 5 years. Is the fact that the progress just takes so long that it really does not do anything for the average player, right? Because there are avid players, there are the crazy fans. It's the reason why Hoyoverse games are alive, right? If it was average players playing that game, it would not be alive whatsoever because it just takes too long to do stuff. It takes really long to collect characters. It takes really long to push content. You have to get lucky and get the right characters. This isn't just for Genshin Impact, right? I know I'm shitting on that a lot, but I'm using that as a prime example because everyone is talking about how it's the best game ever and that the revenue proves it. But no, that just proves that there are people who are going to spend a ridiculous amount of money on gacha games. And most of that is the content creators who want content, right? Go to YouTube and just search up Farina and tell me how many Farina videos there are. And that goes to show you that 90% of those people who posted those videos, honestly, 99%, I would say, it's just egregious amounts, are whales. And they spent a ridiculous amount of money so that they could get the character, do the review on her so that they can get their views. But did they actually make content that was transformative, that was trying to help people, that was trying to show average players, like everybody, like the general audience, that the game was still pretty much exactly the same? There's literally nothing that's different about it. And they really just released a more expensive hero so people could pay for her. It's just a thing, right? This slide and outer plane are doing the same thing. So and they're much worse in my opinion. um yeah, there's only one thing that is keeping outer plane afloat right now, and it's really the fact that you can get a hero for free and max them out for free. Something that no other gacha has done, but it's not fixing all the other issues. So yeah, I mean, like it's pretty much on the same foot as this light. This light, I pretty much just don't care about it anymore. It's gonna EOS. I don't care what people say, unless they do a complete 180, which it seems like not a single company is capable of doing, which doesn't fucking make sense to me. Like it's not even that hard. Then yeah, the game dies. What I say for the developers who are basically being scrutinized because they're not the ones who are in charge of the game's direction, right? They're just in charge of making whatever they're told to make for the game. Um, it comes down to a few things, right? They either need to push back on whoever is leading or talk to whoever owns the company that is making the game because at this point it's out of the player's hands. Like communities have many times over many games for gacha games I'm talking about have tried to speak and have tried to show, even like specifically content creators as well, have tried to speak. This goes to you, Lilith Games, Farlight Games. This goes to you, Smilegate. This goes to whoever made the Takto P Symphony gacha game that is basically dead at this point. This goes to literally every gacha creator out there, all the devs, because the devs are the creators, not the people who own the company. They don't give a shit, right? They're just the ones putting money. They don't do anything other than give money. They don't put any real effort. The only effort they're putting in is numbers. They're checking to see how the numbers are doing, and even then, that's like really up to like whoever is their marketer or whatever. But if they aren't going to do anything and are just going to continue doing what they want, then you got to do what devs at Mappa Studio did, right? That was different because that was more of a human rights violation in my opinion. um but this is not dissimilar, right? It's the well, it is not exactly the same situation, but it's the thing where the company was treating their employees bad, whereas gacha games treat their consumers bad, and therefore the consumers then give really bad feed, or they just give really bad comments, like people are mad. And then the developers just take that and then they are having to work on the game, not the owners of the game. The developers themselves are having, and they're already underpaid, we already know that. Developers are so underpaid, it's ridiculous. Like the amount of money that gacha games make and the amount of money the developers get is just miles in between both of them. Like most of the money goes to the whoever owns the companies, right? And they don't do anything with that money other than market. because the code in itself doesn't actually take money because you already got your devs with computers, with code, with all of that stuff. It really does not take money to change the game in terms of quality of life implications, in terms of, you know, actually releasing good content, in terms of adding feedback suggestions that actually make the game better. It literally, the only thing it does is make them pay their developers more, which is like they wouldn't need to pay them more if they were automatically already doing that because that would just be part of their job, right? Like I'm serious. If a gamer like me who has studied the gacha gaming market made a game, it would instantly be better than Genshin Impact. Instantly. If we had the same budget as them, instantly be better than all of the gacha games out there. And it's not even like a contest because we know what we want to make the game better. We know how to make the game better. Honestly, what Genshin Impact should do is add the same thing as Outer Plane, the side story thing where you can grind like shards for heroes, and I mean that's the only place you can get it. Like they can't microtransaction it like crazy like Outer Plane did, but if they do side story stuff and you could basically get extra copies of heroes you already own, like just implementing that itself, like I see Outer Plane doing it, I'm like, so this isn't new. There's definitely things that are already like this. But Outer Plane seems to be the only gacha game that has implemented it. Like it just, it's not. They're not the only ones who've implemented, but they're the only ones who've implemented it in a way that is simple, complete, and it. Well, I wouldn't say complete, but it's almost there. I would say simple, fun, and like quick. Like the progress is actually generally quick. I can get 5 stars within like 2 or 3 weeks. Like it does not take me that long. So yeah, it just comes down to a few things, but it's they're major things, right? It's a few things, but they are major things that make or break all of these games. And it's just really sad, right? Everyone who loved this light is leaving this light. We've already lost Daddy Free to Play. We've just lost Zactus Kun. Like really, all that's left is smaller content creators. And even them, like I feel like they're only making videos on this game because they want to make content to get views. Like really, why would you make videos on a gacha game that is bad, dead, and the developers or whoever's in charge of the game? Because again, we can't always blame the developers. Um, are not actually fixing the game. Like people who would actually care about their audience, who care about their viewers, would not make videos on that because when you do that, it sends a message to them that it's a game that you are willing to play, so your viewers should be willing to play it as well. Which is why I'm happy that Zaxxon has now quit. Like, yeah, he was doing a lot of copium, which I was like, yeah, that's fine. Like, he was acknowledging that the game was in a horrible state, which I admit, which I like. But there are content creators who haven't, for this light specifically, and it just makes me piss. It's like you're still making videos. Like, just make one video, and like if all content creators quit, like literally this week for Dislight, I'm pretty sure Dislight would be in 100. They should already be in panic mode, but it seems like they're not. This would send a clear message. You killed your game. Content creators don't care anymore. Good luck getting any marketing to your game. Um, so yeah, and they already failed with their AFK Arena. They were gonna release AFK Journeys, but I mean, nobody's gonna download that game if they realize it's made by Lilith Games, Firelight Games. So yeah, I mean, it's just sad. And I'm gonna end the video pretty much in like a minute because there's nothing much else to talk about. I can go specifically into what this slide. So, like I said, this isn't specifically about this slide, but it is my final say to this slide because I feel like it's dead. It's 100% going to EOS. Um, like they added this PC version, but yeah, like it's I say 100% EOS, but there is that 0.1111 0.000001% chance that they actually go 180 to actually fix the game. But yeah, it seems like it's not gonna work because yeah, I mean I've seen Cyber Rebellion too. That seems like a very great game. Yeah. Um, if someone's calling Dislight a bad game, they probably have an anime profile pic and play. Bro, I call Genshin a bad game as well. Like, it's not that. Well, I don't call it a bad game. I call it an okay game. Um, I don't call it a good game. That's what I'm saying. I call Dislight bad though. Yeah, and I don't care about Hoyo games. I don't care about them either because honestly, people who play them are sheep. They're literally just wasting their time and money. It's 100% true. I just don't understand why people think that this is Genshin is way better than this. Honestly, I agree with that. See, like I am being truthful and honest. I agree that Genshin is probably I wouldn't say the best gacha out there. It's one of the best gachas out there, but it's definitely not the best. In terms of like gameplay, it probably is the best because it's one of the only open world games out there that is a gacha game and that gives you not turn-based game play but you like actually battle the boss. Yeah, I mean it's just like and it's also like the turn-based gameplay is pretty much just copy and pasted. So there's not much difference you can do. Even like Reverse 1999. Yeah, it's a fun game, but eventually you still get the same thing. Progress slows down. Like since when was that a thing that people thought was actually going to make these games good? Right? It seems like the gacha industry realized, okay, we make progress really fast at the beginning, but slow it down significantly once you get to a certain point, so that all the free to play players have to spend money now, and we say fuck you to them. And then we add a little bits here and there to keep the free to play players on the games. But yeah, I mean, 2 years and Dislight's dead. Almost 3 years and Dislight's dead. Yeah, like I said, 5 years is pretty much the maximum for most of these games. Um, and you know, part of that is also the graphics because new engines come out, better graphics come out, better coding comes out. You just get better like visuals and like again I said that's a big part of why people play these games because they're all sheep. They don't actually play the game for the mechanics or how fun it is. Yeah, they might find it fun or something, but mostly they're playing it because they want to one, collect characters, two, build up those characters, make them overpowered, and three, use them in game. That is pretty much what the gacha gaming industry is. There are more avid players who actually want to explore the game, you know, do more stuff, but those players aren't the 70% of people playing these games. Those are just the 30% that are content creators, that are avid players, that are whales, that are leviathans, blah blah blah. But yeah, um it's dead. This game is bad. No one's calling everyone's calling it bad. What? There's no engagement in the game, yeah. Yeah, and I mean it's just this light is a bad game. I don't have a freaking I have a MK mobile picture and I don't play Genshin. I haven't. Since I first played it, I was like, yeah, this is going to be another pay to win gotcha that is really long for free to play. Tell me, are any of the free to play players who have been completely free to play, are they anywhere where any of the Leviathan or whales are now? And I know people are going to be like, oh, but that's not fair. You can't. Bro, the game has been out for like, what, 4 years now? If somebody has been playing that long, they should basically be where the whales are, the Leviathans are. Yeah, they shouldn't have all the new stuff maxed out, but they should have everything else basically maxed out. So I mean, yeah, and then this goes to average players, right? I'm talking about average players, not somebody who's going to be playing the game like 2 hours or more a day. That's somebody who is more than an average player, right? I'm talking about somebody who logs in for 30 minutes, maybe an hour a game, maybe an hour a day, just play with their friends, maybe 2 hours at maximum a day, but that is a maximum, right? So yeah, I mean it just goes to show that people don't actually understand the gacha gaming industry because one, the content creators aren't actually not all of them, but most of them just overhype the games. They don't actually focus on the problems in the game. If they do, they like glance over it and they aren't realists. They're just trying to get views. I mean, that's what anyone is else is trying to do on YouTube, even me, but I'm trying to do it in an honest way with that has integrity, right? Like we need to have some semblance of honesty, truth, and full transparency. And that's what my channel is. I'm trying to be fully transparent with y'all. But yeah, it's sad. This slide's gonna EOS. It's not even a 50-50. It's like a 99% chance at this point. Like they've pretty much stopped marketing. All the big content creators have quit. Like maybe you have Altier and Malteria and GJS. Like those are the three content creators left that are actually making still decent content on the game. But again, they're not releasing as much as they used to because there's nothing to make content on in the game. So yeah, it is sad that this is where it's going. But again, like I predicted, I don't think 2024 is going to be as big as a thing for gacha games as people think. I think people are going to realize that, especially the broader audience, is going to realize that gacha games aren't really going to change in terms of how collection works, how progress works, and I guess that's pretty much it, right? And how the gacha works, right? There's nothing really defining about these things that are changing. So it's really sad. The only thing that they change is mechanics, graphics, and maybe gameplay, which is not what they should be focusing on. Of course, you can make those things great. You should be focusing on making a good game rather than that. And I'm just like, okay, well, that sucks. All right, well, I think I'm done ranting now, but you get what I'm saying, right? Gacha games themselves aren't actually evolving as much as the market is expanding, which I think is going to be a big, big detriment to all these new gacha games that are being released because people are going to be like, oh, these are awesome, cool games. Yeah, they're cool games. Are they good games? That's my question, right? So I'll keep doing evaluations, but so far it seems like the gacha gaming industry is on a decline, actually. I know people are saying, oh, it's doing great. No, you can see all the gacha games that are dying, and actually the amount of gacha games that are slowly dying are increasing. And the amount of games that fail that are gacha games when they first come out are actually increasing as well. And it's the same thing I've said. They're not actually bringing transformative content because they're pretty much copying the gacha systems, the progression systems that all of these other gacha games before them came. That's not the way to do it. It's like having a sequel. It's like the iPhone thing, right? You release a new iPhone and it has like two different changes. Most people aren't going to buy that because they know it's stupid. What's the point of doing that? All right, well, I'm done. Anyway, thank y'all for watching. As always, AOG Gaming here. If you're enjoying the content, please like and subscribe. Really shows your support. Helps me out, keeps you up to date my content. 171 subscribers last time I checked, so y'all are amazing. Keep going. Yeah. Channel is increasing, so happy about that. Again, I'm going to keep going full transparency, trying to make sure that I am being honest, giving you my full opinion. And I do praise companies when they do good things for the games and their community. But I am critical because it's things that are so simply fixed that if I owned a company that was a gacha company that made gacha games, it would monopolize the market because they would be good games. That simple. Well, as always, thank y'all for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next video.